In any case, well, going to have some difficulties today returning to something that I haven't been doing for some time, but let's try it anyway. I'm going to have to rejig things as I go, but let's try for it anyway. How are you doing, Internet? I'm B-Nuts. Welcome to the stream. Welcome back. It's time to get to a build stream because remember, I also do that sort of thing. As you can find some VODs on my Twitch and my YouTube for more speed builds as well as reviews. And today I want to do the Master Grade Dynames. I've been looking forward to doing this for quite some time, just haven't gotten around to it until now. And one of the reasons why I want to do this now is also because, well, guess what? They just recently announced when the Master Grade Virtue was going to be released, and it's scheduled to be released in November. And this is HobbyLink Japan or HLJ.com's site, in case you were curious. So this will most likely use the same frame that we've seen before in the Dynames and the Curios, which is good. And you have this big chunky boy with all of the armor, and it looks great. Absolutely great detail. And underneath is the little Nadley right inside. And this kind of, it does remind me a lot of the full armor Gundam from Thunderbolt, as well as the FATS, the full armor double Zeta, because you've got the frame underneath of this, and then you've got the armor that goes over top. And there's a better shot of it somewhere else, but this is the Nave where you can see the resemblance to the other 4th generation frames. And all of the weapons, including the extending barrels on the shoulder-mounted bazookas. You've got 2 standing minifigures of Thierry Arde. If you haven't seen the series, you'll probably confuse as to how this can also be Tyria. That's something which you should see because it is somewhat amusing as well. But yes, that's him too. And you've got the extending opening GN Hyper Bazooka, which is the main weapon. You've got the GN drive and the LED unit that are for it, which requires 4 LR41 or 2 LR41 batteries to operate. I've seen Mecha Gaikatsu review some of the LED units that Bandai has, and he has not been impressed by them, unfortunately. So here, this is one of the reasons why I am reminded very much of the Full Armor Gundam and the FATS, is because of the detail and the layout that's underneath of the armor parts. They're very detailed, and they're designed to be mounted very simply, and also so that they can come off fairly simply as well. And that is the Virtue, which will be coming out. It is pretty expensive, more on the expensive side than the Curios and the Dynames, but I think it's going to be well worth it because you basically get 2 in 1. You also have this, although it's just a silhouette, the Figurized Standard Amplified Batman. So he'll probably be spikier than normal. You've got the high-grade Blazing Gundam. This is from one of the newer projects, 2426, to be released in December 2021. And the idea seems to be that it will be a kind of a brother to the Burning or God Gundam. That's what it said. It along with a bunch of other stuff, is from Gundam Breaker Batlog Project. So it's supposed to be God Gundam's brother, as it says down there. So it's a pair, like the Rising and the Shining. So you've got that very God Gundam aesthetic in the V-fins and the chest and everything like that. And it looks quite like it could fit into G Gundam pretty well. And here are its weapons, and you can tell that it's going to be, the blades are going to be shorter and they're designed that way. And then this, which you might not know immediately what it is, and then you see that and you know what it is. If you've seen G Gundam or you know the memes, rather than shining finger, it has a shining foot or shining kick. And then here you see why the blades are so short for the beam effect parts, and that's because they're going to be beam tonfas rather than beam sabers, which I think is kind of cool. But the aesthetic and the feel of it is only going to appeal to certain people. Of course, it does have an unmasked face as well. But whereas the idea might have seemed as cool before, kind of on reflection it does. Kind of a bit. But it kind of varies to me. So this, the high-grade Gundam Perfect Strike Freedom, I kind of go, why? But it might also appeal to some people on the same level that some of the other crazy-looking models do. I mean, I never would have thought that I would get the Crossbone X1 full cloth version GPT, but I did. Partially because of all the crazy beam saber blades. And here you can see how the wings go out, and you have the railguns on the back. Here is its weapons loadout in separate parts. So it's got the beam shield from the Strike Freedom. It's got these two weapons and the shorter beam, which are sword strike, kind of ish. And then the rifle, which is the same color as the Agni high-powered weapon that the Strike has. But then it does this, where you can mount the sword onto the rifle. And that's pretty nuts to me. And as well, you can see better that these are where the funnels are from the Strike Freedom. And so even though it's got a strike body, it's got Strike Freedom armaments as well. You can see the, I guess that's from the launcher strike on the shoulder there. And it seems to have some missiles up on the shoulder too. So that, for its craziness, and here are the funnels that are, once they come off of the wings, and there's a sword, and I guess the boomerang shoulder is up there too. It's got the rifle in the hand, it's got the rail guns over the shoulders. So that is pretty crazy. However, I do not see a way the Super Dragoons, rather, they're not called funnels in Seed, they're called Super Dragoons, but there doesn't seem to be any way to mount them onto an action base. They're just kind of posed freely in the air in this case. So that might get in the way. And you've got this pose, which is very strike-ish. And the part that really, well, it's got two strikes against it, in my opinion. Oh, it does have the anchor shoulder, okay. And the shield bit, with shield part with the beam part coming out of it. That does seem like a weird kind of angle to me, but it might work. You've got the wire here connecting it. So one of the issues there is going to be whether or not it can hold this up. With the anchor being that small, it probably won't have that much of a problem. The bigger problem, literally, bigger problem I can see would be at the backpack. The backpack, especially with the Super Dragoons on it, is massive. Mahusive. It is going to be a strain on the uh, back and the ball joints that usually go into the chest and then the crotch piece, the middle piece here. So I expect it's going to be dragged down by that backwards over the back. And I also expect that it's not going to be able to stand on its own. Then again, with something like this, you'll probably want to pose it on an action base, give it an aerial pose anyway. These ones are all, by the way, they are all from the same project. So this is HG Gundam Live Lance Heaven. This one is, I believe, based off of the Death Scythe, only, or rather, the Death Scythe Hell, it says down here, with its active cloak. And it's white instead of black. You can see it has this in Lance mode. It's pretty long, it seems, judging from the scale of the suit. And here is with the Lance inactive and the cloak closed. So here it looks more like the Death Scythe. It's got a clear piece here, it looks like, on both wrists. And here it is open again, but from the back, it's got some gold pieces on it too. Though, judging from Bandai's track record, those are probably painted after the fact, rather than having a gold plated. So that might work for some people, it might not work with others. Your reaction to this is going to vary anyway, because it's a variant, but it does have the ability to do certain stuff that can appeal. So here you have it in more of a scythe mode than a lance. And I think it says something about what it can do with scythe mode. Oh, rod mode, lance, and scythe. And this one here is the Helios. It's supposed to be based off of the main character's own suit. Where does it say what it is? Main character's machine, the Gundam Arius. So here you can see that it has, I think it's the wing, as well as the freedom. Oh, the X, or double X, it has the double satellite cannons. I thought one of them had a wing kind of design, but that's definitely an X, the double X chest. So here you have the cannons on the back. I hope they're mounted better than the satellite beams of the I've got on my shelf back there. So here you have, thankfully, beam effects for the saber parts. You've got kind of a smaller shield there. And here it is in full burst mode. So you have these opening up from the legs, and those are clear this time. And that's definitely a double X thing. It's even got beam emitters on the palms. So you've got the 2 on the hips, 2 in the hands, 2 over the shoulders. And I guess because the freedom wings are upside down, they're mounted upside down on this thing, these are what would be usually, oh, that's not right. These are the ones that are originally mounted to the freedom wing. Down here, though, those are mounted to the back of this unit. Those are the satellite cannons. So instead of coming up over the shoulder, these are coming through from the hips. And there's just one cannon going. No, both of them are. It's just that the angle makes it look like it's one. Other than these cannons, I'm not sure what the Freedom Wings are there for. They just seem to stick up and kind of be in the way because they're at an odd angle for flight from that from there because they're upside down. So unless you tilted them, back, you can't see me, but I'm kind of doing back. And it's kind of low, but there's no way that these are going. These might be clear pieces, but there's no way they can pipe LED lights through there. I don't think. That's just to show what it might look like if it could. Here we have the HG Grimory. This is from Iron-Blooded Orphans. It's one of the Gundam frames, I guess. And the scythe here is basically an anchor, but one of the ends is broken. So if you wanted to have a full anchor, you would have to get two of these things. But it's got an interesting design, that's for sure. It doesn't look much like a Gundam with the hood on, but then you take that off and you see this underneath. And it looks a bit more like a Gundam. But it's also got a more aggressive style like Barbotos and the others do. So it fits IBO's world. You've got a Zaku 2. And you can see when that's supposed to release. Looks pretty basic. It's a standard green Zaku with pretty standard armaments. It looks like it's got two different sets of side flaps on it. One of them will be flexible, the other one will be plastic. And the chest is designed to be more flexible. And that's December as well. This is something else that's exciting. The entry grade RX-7802 full weapons set this time. So we've had an entry grade before. We had a Christmas version, colored version, and we had a standard version. And they're about $10. This one also, but it comes with the full set of armaments that the Gundam has had. Almost everything that it's ever had. It doesn't have the shoulder cannon or the second beam rifle, but it has the beam bazooka, the pike, and the mace, the rocket mace. So that's pretty impressive. Plus, it's only a couple of dollars more than the original entry grade was. And what makes this different from the high grade, especially the high grade revive version of it, is that it's even simpler to build, and yet it still has great flexibility, and there's even less stickers, if you could believe it. Like this, the B on the crotch is usually a sticker, but it's not on this one. Although it doesn't really specify whether or not this comes with the actual RX-7802, I'm going to assume for now that it does, because just having the beam rifle, shield, beam sabers, hyper bazooka, beam javelin, and Gundam hammer does not validate a price point of $12.13 Canadian. But if you include the whole thing, then it does. And, that's just a great kit. I think it would be a good entry point into the hobby as well. You've got these two things from different series. And I also want to highlight these Digimon items. We've had an Omnimon before. This one is also amplified, but it's X antibody, which means that it's from a specific feature from Digital Monster X Evolution. I don't know if that's probably a game. So it's got a different cloak, a different head on it. It seems to have different mounting points as well for different things. So it's set up for further customization. To be ones in the head parts from Metal Greymon and War Greymon too. Kind of weird, but okay. And seems to be highlighting that the kit will be made out of PET plastic. So it does have a different look, though one of the problems that people mention when they review the original amplified Omnimon is that he has limited articulation in the legs, and as well that slim waist doesn't really do much. But otherwise, it seems okay. We've also got figurized standards War Greymon and Metal Greymon. So we have had versions of these two before. They were amplified. So these are the more standard versions. So, slightly different molds, they look a bit more ordinary, in my opinion. But if you wanted to get a War Greymon and a Metal Greymon that were more accurate to their anime appearances, you could definitely go for these. Definitely look more plain, but that's because they reflect the actual anime designs. You've got another real grade general purpose humanoid decisive weapon from Evangelion. I thought this was loading. It was not. Oopsie. And again, it's the more standard version rather than the amplified. So again, it does look more plain. It doesn't have the bigger beam effects on the wings. It's got smaller ones though, so those kinds of things are still included. It doesn't seem like you can take off the wings and put them in the mouth, but that was kind of weird for the amplified version anyway. And you'll notice that the price for these guys is lower than amplified versions. So they're simpler too. We've also got more optional parts for the 30-minute sister line. These ones will be hairstyle, the different hairstyles for them. We've got some, I think these are from the anime series 86 or something like that. More option sets. And this one in particular mentions compatibility with the Gun Girl Lady line, which I think is interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that necessarily, but since they're both Bandai, why not, right? These are what? Oh, they're arms and legs. So it seems to be that the idea behind the 30-minute sisters, like the 30-minute missions like this one, is to make things highly customizable, which I think is pretty cool. So you have all these different sets of things that generally aren't all that expensive. Like this one, Lulu C, is about $30. And if you compare that to a Kotobukiya Frame Arms Girl or a Megabeat device, That might be about 40 bucks. So it's a bit lower, but they're also, they don't come with quite as much on their own. But they're also intended to be customized. So these are, most of them are November, October, December releases that will be coming out. And I, for one, am looking forward to that. So I now need to fix my camera so that I can go into the build phase. So I'm going to go upside down for a bit. And then when I switch to building, I still have to fix my internal. Did that fix it? No. If I could refresh it, then maybe. No. Go off it for. And now go back to integrated. And we're back. Excellent. I need to find a different place to put my mouse though, because I think that side and behind my laptop is where the fan is. I'm going to put it up here, I think. And I can also bring in my music. I should make sure that I've got my desktop audio back on. I had it on for a moment, then remembered that'll probably give double audio. And I didn't want that. So that probably does the trick I wanted. Okay. So here is our manual, and I have to say that there's not a lot, as much of the plastic as I was expecting there to be in this. But let's get down to it. We've got... I forgot to double check this. 6. 17 runners. We've got 1 sheet of foils, 2 of stickers. One is marking, the other is something else. And it is a standard size kind of box, but looking at the runners as they are, it doesn't really seem to be a lot of plastic, not as much as you would expect from a master grade. But, you know, it's there anyway. And one of the things I like best about the master grade manual, as well as opposed to the others, is you have this section that tells you exactly which runners you need for that section. So I can actually pull out A, B, C, D, E1, E2, F1, the holographic parts, and stickers B, and have those in front of me and know that I won't need anything else for this portion. So try to reach around my boom and actually put my stickers kind of more in front. I'm not sure I want to Ordinarily, I wouldn't want to have this open ahead of time. But I'll open that and then I will set that kind of aside to when I need it more later. And the stickers bee is this one. It's the markings, I think. Well, I'll put those over there, I guess. Well, I need a lot of these ones, I guess. You stuck those close. Now, this is the multicolored A runner. You can see it's got some clear green there. It's actually is a lot of those darker colors. That's A. This is B. And it says GN frame on it. So that's part of the system that they created for these ones, is starting with the Dynames, and hopefully they will also include it in the Virtue. So Dynames and Kyros have it, and the reason why people were so happy to see GN frame, this one has it too, GN frame, on these, is that it indicated that Bandai would use it for more than just the one kit. And they have already. This is another C. These are D, which I also need, with their armor pieces to go on over. E1 is all of the yellow parts, I believe. I don't see any other yellow parts. Even vents, everything else like that, the clavicle parts. What's this one? This one is E2. I'll also be needing that. It's all clear parts. I'll set that aside there. I also need F1. Not this too much. I'll fix it as I go. This is H1. It's darker plastic stuff. And G1, which seems to include gun parts. But I don't need those for this, so I will put those back away. Kind of doing something of an unbox here. This is H2, also dark plastic, don't need it yet, and G2. Again, more guns. These seem to be for the handguns. What's that? F1 should be one of these smaller ones. And then you come to the green parts. Armor. Also don't need yet. This is F1. This is one that I need. It's dark green. I'm not sure if that's showing up properly in my thing. And then dark green for the cape. The runner's I and J. And that's all this kit comes with. Like I said, it's not as much as I thought it would be. It is a standard master grade box, which is why I was expecting there to be more. But I'm pretty happy for a simplified build anyway. I think that if they keep things simple, then it's much easier to build and it's also more solid. And I like having solidity. It Just makes things seem that much more secure. So, let me grab a drink and let's get started. In the actual building. I think it did take exactly this long to get here. It's been half an hour, but I thought I would go through the announcements first. Bandai's announcements, because I was pretty excited to see those. So, one of the things that is going to be a concern here is, especially with the dark green markings as on the plastic from stress, because you have plastics that can be stressed and can mark, and you'll see it more on the darker plastic than you will on the lighter plastic, and that's pretty consistent across the board, that you'll see that happen. And because my nippers aren't high quality ones, they're pretty basic, so I cannot expect that my cutting will go without marking. Well, it's trying to tell me here not to cut parts in the sides. I think that's these on the top and the bottom. And gate goes right against this part. And I'm going to look at this and see where those ones that I didn't cut go. On the top and bottom. And that's going to help me set this in. I don't have very many master grades, mostly because I'm fairly satisfied with the high grades for the most part. There's some stress marking on this, I think. You can see some whites there. But I think that what I can do with these is I can have it more in a place that won't be as recognizable. Maybe, maybe not. But even if I sand it down on something like this, it just mark more. So it's not worth doing it there. What I would do instead is I would have to say to it was probably for the LED. I would cut further away for the first part so that it's not bending on the tree, and then cut a second time, and that's what I plan to do for the darker parts. So it says, when adding the LED unit, do not stare at the LED nice, it may cause nausea, etc. LED unit green sold separately. That's that bit. So I do not have LED unit, nor am I planning on getting it, really. But that would normally go on, and then this would go over, I guess. I might be missing something. Of course, I'm missing the actual LED unit. This is on pretty solidly, though. So if I wanted to add it later, I just have to do like that. Because it's just like that. There's another LED unit that goes in the back here, in front of the GN drive. Oh, because that's blocked. You can't just use one LED unit here. You would have to use one here and one here. So that's already two. That's kind of unfortunate. I would have wanted to keep things simpler as I indicated before. But that's not going to happen here. A20. And these white parts don't have to worry about stress marking. I'm going to cut out this part too, so that I have it out. And so that's 25. Here's a seated minifig as well, just standing. So where is him dressed as a woman? Not on this one, I guess. Oh wait, that's Tyria. This is Lockon. So it's not going to be here. I can find, because I guess it's going to be on the actual cockpit part. He has a little aiming thing inside the cockpit. There's no real practical reason why he would have something to help him aim in the cockpit itself, but he does. I mean, it would all integrate with the mobile suit's sensors anyway. So it doesn't matter what they have on the inside. It matters what it comes to on the outside. A lot of bees I see. I could add parts for the chest unit as well because it's on this page. I am here. Fig. Up into him. Especially around the head. Actually seems like part of him is covered. Yep. Where'd he go? Over here. That's the part I don't like. I cut it out and then I miss it. These are F holographic parts. Oh, they're part of the power line system. Okay. Those power lines sometimes have been a bit of a headache, I'll be honest. Especially with the real grade Exia. Because they don't stick anywhere. They have nothing to stick to. You have to put them into the shape in the place where they will be living for the rest of the time. And they're so easy to lose because they're also translucent or transparent. I'm gonna put this on here right now so I don't lose Lockon. If I can figure out which way it's supposed to be. Oh, that makes it easy. It just goes into his chair. And the chair, as of yet, doesn't have anything else to it. It's just him sitting there. Go there. I need to go back here. Another transparent part. E29 is, I think, this. And it's the only part that looks like that on here. Everything else looks very different. And I should also get B1. Not that there are that many other points. It's this one. Also, you can see that they have the switching fingers type of hand for this one. I'm not sure if it's the best hand system that they have, but it is one that is fairly commonly used. And it does seem to be reliable, so it's not something that I would complain about. And since it's used on a number of different master grades, as long as the hands match, you'll find you can actually use different sets of weapons from different mobile suits across different models. So if you like that sort of thing, you can use that to customize quite a lot. I think, although it's not just the swappy fingers, it's also a matter of whether or not the slots are the same. If you have slots in the hand for the weapons, they have to line up in order to work. And this seems to be symmetrical on both sides almost. But there does seem to be a... Yeah. See that? That's only on one side. And it indicates that it's supposed to be here. And this piece only has the notches on the top and sides. It's supposed to go like this. Maybe I should have painted that first. I'm not going to be able to get it now. If I wanted to paint it. It's pretty stuck in though. It's very, very secure. I'm not going to get it again. Well, it's going to be an internal detail anyway. And then this has notches on the inside. And they line up like that. And then I can get this part of the cone And this is supposed to go on first. And it's like that. Yeah. Oops. That wasn't supposed to come up. Let's try this again. Funny that this would be the part that would not be quite so solid. Maybe it wasn't in all the way. Oh, that's not right. To find all of the notches. Oops. Where did it go? I think I kind of launched it forward. Seriously? I didn't launch it into my lap. Oh. It was on top of all of this. Okay, let's try this without the fumbling this time. Shall we? Bit in try to was what I was trying to do before when it popped. In straight. They seem to be. Let me try. Maybe it is. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? And this time I will backstop this with my finger. And a point that's supposed to be up on here. It gets like this with these two finny things on the top. And then I find that. I think it's supposed to go like that. There's a point where it stops too, but it's supposed to be able to open and close. And then this will close that off. So now we've got the cone of the GN drive, which is one of its most recognizable facets. And then we want to take this and that. Then add the LED unit, which we're not. To replace batteries, please see instructions for LED unit green. Do not stare into the light. And this would be the switch, I'm guessing. That's part of the LED unit. I just have to find which way fits, I guess. I'm assuming only one would go. Oh, it's the slot anyway. Oh, it worked. I wonder if that's the only way to go. Well, it can go both ways. And I'm pretty sure there's an up and a down. Oh, it shows the switch part, or the part that I identified as the switch as being on the bottom. So now we have a complete GN drive. And that can go in. Getting it to pop back out though. It's getting to be something of a challenge. And get under here. Not really. Maybe there's going to be a mechanism. I can kind of catch and pull it. And now for this part, grab part of the door hinge. And let's go this. There should be part that is about even. That goes like that. And it goes onto the track. It goes onto this hinge part. That. And then this can go onto here. I don't really see how it mounts. Careful not to catch the holographic part, it says, but and go here. Oh, it says it's supposed to come down onto here. Oh, maybe it just sits like that, and then the torso can go back and forth. Oh yeah. That's cool. It kind of just sits. It's on a track, but it can easily come out too. All right. First time for the holographic parts. Where did I put them? Here's hoping they're not as hard to manage as the Exia ones. They're not marked in any way. Now I need ones that kind of look like, well, they're all kind of strippy. What happens if I take off the wrong one, though? Yes. They are marked. C-H-I-C. This F. Is that E? The middle one is E. This one seems to be F. But the other one is marked D. Tab of it go in here. Now, even though this one is marked D, it should be the one that goes on this side. Oh, does it matter which side? It says that D, that's F, yeah. It does, it is supposed to matter which side you use. That down for now so I can handle this better perhaps. Side should go out. Yeah. There we go. And do you see that shine? And then that. Oh, that's encouraging. At least if they have tabs, they have a way to go in more solidly. And then this one, set it on its track again. Oops. It comes off so easily. And then this is supposed to go onto here. A bit higher, down, and then forward. Came off again. I'm gonna make sure that this stays on before I connect it. Just in case. And it doesn't feel like it's connecting. Okay. Now the holographic parts aren't going to go anywhere. This should have to go behind. There. Hmm. Oh, there's the aiming thing. Right on the outside there. Okay. Let's see if I can bring that into focus. You see that poking out of the cockpit part? That's his aiming tool. Such cool detail. They didn't have to do this sort of things, but they did it because they wanted to and because it's all part of how the story is. That's just awesomeness. $26. I hope all of the holographic parts are as easy to deal with as that one goes. Now that I know that they're labeled by letter as well. Insert each of the parts as far as possible. Oh, that's off the screen. Oh well. Move it down a bit. And you can see 18. This one. Bandai's engineering on things like this, where they put in their effort, and you know you can see their effort, is just fantastic. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of times when they don't put in all that much effort in order to change things. That saves them money as well in productions. But at the same time, the production just doesn't seem to be as good in the end because they've used a cost-saving measure, whatever else have you. I'm not going to cut out the whole page of Beast right now. That would be a whole lot of loose parts. That's as far as that goes, for sure. And then for this one, it should be far back. And go a bit further. Have to wiggle it a bit. Unfortunately, I think one of the things that suffered from their designing things so that it didn't cost as much and not redesigning from the ground up was that they when they made the G-Guns from Unicorn, they didn't redo or retool anything. So when they made the Jigen Blastmaster, the one that I mentioned before I have on my shelf over there, or back there, once again, the orange one, Yuki, it has a lot of joints that won't go places. And on top of that, The other major strike against it is that it's the satellite panel parts, they aren't on very solidly. And I have no idea why they would do something like how they did it, because it doesn't really match up with anything that they've done before when it comes to Gundam X and X variants. So it's kind of like, where does this come from? Why do it that way that it can fall off so easily? And unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. Move that back up. But I kind of want to retool the Blastmaster to make it more workable. First, I have to get around to reviewing it. That there's more of an idea of what it is at first. And just was it really just hanging by that? None of this route seemed to be working on that. Although I did cut a bit before, so maybe that's why. Okay, so that goes on this side. And then 31 will be base. The ring one, so that should make it obvious on the gunner. Make the shoulders for the torso so that the arms have something to mount to. And this is supposed to go in first. That is the way I'm holding it. Hopefully I can keep my grip on the part. And then this goes on here. And then goes into here. Doesn't actually go through it, just mounts to it. Find the part like that. I guess I should turn my watch on. Mm. Yeah, it goes on this way. I should use myself better. Yeah. I wonder if it's supposed to be tucked in now or not. It kind of looks like it is. That's this part. Although that's open. And B and E for this part, with some C later on. Oh. Wish I could put this somewhere so that it didn't do that. That's, of course. Side. One. Already put it on the other side. It was mostly dropped anyway. And I would need B16 for the back of the other part there. So now, if I can find it. There it is. The only parts left over here. And then put those on the shoulders and then cut out the C's and L. that goes in more, I'm sure. There we go. I just had to push it forward a bit. I'm gonna do this. Down over the shoulder, I'm sure. Great, that looks like it's the wrong side. Go over here. Yeah, I had that part turned wrong. But now it is turned right. You just have to mount it correctly. This? There we go. Yeah. It's supposed to be slightly separated from the shoulder. I just wasn't doing it quite right. There we go. And huh? Doesn't seem right at all. Yeah. Shoulder a bit. There we go. Barely. I'm gonna see. Enough. Oh, as it can come in and out. Now, it doesn't seem to be resting quite back here. Maybe that's just the angle and it's supposed to be. Oh. That's that bit. So I need C and F. A. These are both C. Oh, of course, I'm gonna need both. One part from both sides. E33. That's the class for the drives, I think. Yeah. There's a big frame sheet, though. Goodness. If you think I located once already, it should be fast for me to find anytime afterwards. But no. And then I need F1 22. I think that's on the outside, so it should be the green one. No, I didn't cut further away first. I'll do it on this one since it's thicker. And you'll see a good reason why. There it is. There's a bit of stress mark there. It's actually more visible on the camera, I think, unless that's light reflecting. Where my finger is pointing there. One. There's a bit of stress. But if I do it this way, then there'll still be a bit of a stress mark, but it won't be as bad because there's not as much weight pressing on it. Or at least there shouldn't be quite as much. It does make a bit more of a mess, but to make the model look nicer, I think is worth it. They have to go like that. Let's see if I can pull it tighter here. Last thing I want is for the parts to just pop out like that. I think that's the way it's supposed to sit. Okay, and then on to the back it goes. Song is about. Perhaps if my mouse is on the surface, yes? It's called 0 to screen. And like most of my royalty-free stuff, is by TechnoX. Just put the mouse somewhere where it's not going to do anything. Oh, you thought you were done with the body? Not even close. So, now the parts that are on should not go anywhere because they're all secure. We'll need F1. Yep. Where the heck it's calling? I can't even see. It fell right off. Three. I mean, part 211. What are we building here? There is not. My finger on top of it so that it doesn't fly anywhere I don't want it to go. Oh, but you've heard this song before. And still ends up with stress mark on this. It doesn't say to build it twice, but then again it doesn't mark pieces twice. E37. I want to at least finish the torso. I don't know how much time I have for this. I've only been going an hour and a half. Side to the back. That way. And it goes on the front. And this goes down here. Is this all the way? It looked like it was, but it's hard to tell. From here. That's in the way. Yes, it's not supposed to go. No, I thought it would. Does it go back here? I don't know. Wait, it's the wrong side. It's supposed to go on the back. I put it on the front, or tried to, but it wouldn't fit. Need to 8 and 2. And there. Or it's not supposed to cut. And we come to a decision. Sticker B. One is sticker B. I think sticker B is this one. Does not indicate properly. You check back in here. Sticker B. Yeah, it's the bigger one. Supposed to be 45. The number should have given it away. One is not going to block. That's going to block. And maybe I'll skip that. I'm going to use reflexive. I would prefer one of those. But that's not what we're using here. Side goes into the front. I'll just skip that one. And A2. Ordinarily, I would paint silver onto the bottom of whatever we're doing. Maybe that acts as the bottom. Going to go there. But if you were ever going to put the LED in, that sticker would completely block it. Maybe it's removable, and that's why. So you would take that out first. I don't know for sure because that has the notches there. But I don't think we want to block. Know what I mean? Well, we got 2 more A pieces and 12. And goes this side. 12 goes the other side. And then we have some D pieces. D10 and D10. Wait, did I get the clavicle yet? No. I guess they're added after this step, something which I can't see because I have to turn the page first. And they go on the front here. And they go on here. Okay. And then these edge part go down. I think they would only mount one way anyway. And they definitely have to accommodate this part of the lip. That's why this part there. But it already was that way naturally when I did that. So I don't have to change anything there. And this cable comes down. 14, 15. See if I can get a better grip on these before it goes flying. Back to F. This was F, right? F112. It goes on the front. It probably won't be that visible, and the gates here are very thin, so there shouldn't be that much stress. And you should put on the side pieces first. And this goes up into here. Oh. It just fits very simply into that. If I looked at the piece first, I would have been able to see that. Oh, that's crazy. If this one tilts first, and then the part from before can go. It's not actually that much. So it is crazy that it does that in the first place. Okay. I guess these are the hatch parts now. I definitely will cut further away for this. You see how the stress mark on the top? But when I cut this off, there's a lot less. The 36 and 39 here. Yeah, these were very basic nippers that cost me like $3. And so there's no way they would hold a candle to something like the Godhead nippers. But they do the job, and I've had them since I started the hobby, so I haven't replaced them even once. Eventually, though, probably pretty soon, they are going to get dull. Where did that which side we go? Oh. It's completely even. A little bit of thing there. And there's a bit more at the bottom. B38. A19. Here somewhere? Oh, that's bad. I will again cut further away from the tougher gates. And ditch. And ditch. And east. What would happen if I looked where it was supposed to go? And this one goes on first. From here. Great. And then this goes on. That. So then the hatch opens like this. And then into that we see Lockon Stratos. Yes. No. That's not right. Maybe close this one first. Then this. That's pretty. See if this... No, that's not going to go anywhere. Just like that. I want the claw going in without the GN drive in. Speaking of, is it time? Almost. And the clavicles. Clavicle parts are the same. I think I keep on shedding hair onto. It's got my nippers. Again, 1 and 20. Pretty obvious what they are. This is 21. Put it here. 20. I should probably put these on first. Clavicles. I haven't cleaned up the knobs on here yet. Did I completely clean the other or no? Stuff hanging off it. That would be unfortunate and unprofessional. Of course, this is a hobby. Okay. Oh, it wasn't in all the way, but now it seems to be. If I could do a longer stream, I would, but people are awake and the day has begun. I'll probably definitely do a resuming stream later on. That neck joint is pretty interesting. This one bends forward and then up and down. See if I can reorient the camera. Up forward. So considering it's a sniper unit, that would be used quite a bit. Clavicles down into kind of a rest position. Clavicles up in active position. Let's put them down for now since it's definitely not going to be active. When adding the LED unit, turn the switch on. Oh, that's pretty cool. So in order to do the switch, you just turn this part. So, yeah, thin parts go up. I'm not culling the lens on the drive. And that's all the way in. Goes down, these come down, turn in, and would help to grip the drive. And that is the torso done. It did take me almost 2 hours from the beginning, minus about half an hour for the announcement stuff. The new releases by Bandai. See if we can get that holographic strip in right. Not a bit. But it's not focusing properly. So the cockpit. Because that's a pretty cool gimmick. Most of the master grade ones do have cockpits. Very few of them open and close like this though. And of course the GN drive is in now. Oops. And if we had LEDs in, that would be able to light up. But I don't have an LED, so that's not lit. The only other master grade I have that has an LED, or that is equipped for one, is the Gundam The Origin. I don't have an LED for it, but it has a clear neck, so it would pipe the light up from the chest into the eyes. And you can choose between some yellow plastic eyes or completely clear eyes, which of course lets you choose what color you want the eyes to be. They can be as they are in canon or not. The arm will do all sorts of things. Move about. You can even extend it out a bit. But we'll see more of that after I've made the actual arms and put them on. But I wanted to just complete construction on the first part. The next part is the head. And so we will continue from there in my next build session. For now, I think this is enough. Unfortunately, I would have to call this here. I'm not getting enough traction. Maybe. I can pause my music. After talking, of course, I'm going to have to change over my webcam. And for now, you can see this. Have to integrated. I know it's not as high res, but it is what it is. So that's going to be part one of the build. Of course, shorter than I'd like to go, but still did get the torso done. Nice, very nice. It's got some cool gimmicks, especially like how much it can tilt. That's pretty crazy, right? And then, of course, I guess it's not in yet, the tilting forward thing. Maybe it is. I think it's supposed to be in the waist. I think I just have to kind of pull it. But that already is a crazy tilt. Maybe that's all it is. But as well, the iridescence from the Paraline strips, the holographic strips. It's just a really well-designed model kit. And I look forward to the next time when I continue onward. But for now, thank you for watching, whether it's live or on a VOD later on. If you liked what you saw, you can, of course, leave a like, comment below what you thought, and subscribe. Ring that bell if you're watching me on YouTube. If you're watching me on Twitch, you can leave me a follow. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter. I will, of course, now choose someone to raid on Twitch. And then sign off. I got Tenha, Mew, Olu, or Tiffany Witcher. Have I raided? Yeah? Probably not. I think I rated Mew. Let's go see Aya. So thanks again for watching, and until the next video stream or whatever, please do stay safe, stay healthy, especially that, and remember to be awesome to one another. Thanks again. See you in the next stream. Bye-bye. Go to ending.
New Organic Berry Energize, a refreshing boost, lifts you up.